Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the English deep dive of the discussion with Alexi Wall, which was held on November 9th, 2025. Before we really get started with today's deep dive into spiritual science, I feel I really must mention something quite serious that's affecting many of us right now. And I'm talking about the severe smog situation in Pakistan, particularly hitting Lahore quite hard. For your own health and well-being, please take precautions. Try to stay indoors as much as possible. If you absolutely have to go out, please wear a proper mask and keep hydrated, drink plenty of water. Wong soups are also really good apparently for the respiratory system. We just pray that Allah protects us all from this difficulty. Amen. Okay, so on to our main focus today. We're looking at an analysis by Dr. Sahib drawn from the sources we have, and honestly it goes way beyond what you might call everyday spirituality. This is really getting into spiritual science. It's about consciousness, the nature of time, human potential, really foundational stuff. Our mission here is to unpack every detail, every intricate point Dr. Saib made.
We want to pull out that, structural knowledge and hopefully deliver some real aha moments for you.
Absolutely. And what's really striking is the precision Dr. Sahib brings to these theological concepts. It's almost like he's mapping them out. He seems to be synthesizing theology with almost a mathematical framework for existence itself. It's quite complex.
Right.
So for this deep dive, we really do need to slow down, focus on the definitions he uses, because these concepts are incredibly intricate. It requires careful attention.
Definitely. So where do we begin? The absolute foundation seems right. The purpose of creation itself. Dr. Said starts with that famous description of Allah referring to himself as hidden treasure. Kanzan Makfiyan. What's the significance there? Why a treasure?
Well, Dr. Sahib's definition of treasure here is, I think, the crucial starting point. He says a treasure isn't just valuable because it's hidden. It only truly becomes valuable when it's discovered, right? When it's dug up and then actually used.
Used for what specifically?
To change the status of the person who finds it. That's the key function he highlights.
Okay, so Allah is described as a treasure because the act of genuinely understanding him, it fundamentally changes the seeker's status, their entire reality.
Exactly. It elevates them. And this connects perfectly to the second part of that hadith, Qudsi, fa ababtu anurafa.
Which means, I desired to be known, or maybe more accurately, understood.
Precisely. That desire to be understood is the pivot. And Dr. Sahib offers a very down-to-earth explanation for how understanding happens. He says you can't truly understand someone or something unless you first, love them, or at least like them, have an affinity.
He uses analogies for that, doesn't he? Like with school subjects.
Yes, exactly. Think about it. A student who genuinely likes math, they tend to grasp it better, right? Yeah. They put in the effort because there's an interest and enjoyment. Same with chemistry or any subject. If you have a positive feeling towards it, you're more open to understanding its complexities.
So liking or loving is almost like the engine for comprehension. It drives the process.
It certainly seems to be the prerequisite, according to this framework. Love opens the door to understanding.
And then Dr. Sahib links this directly to the final part, فَخَلَقْتُ meaning, I created creation specifically for this purpose. The purpose being to be understood.
Yes. So, the entire point of our existence, the reason for creation itself, is established right there. It's not passive. It's an active mandate for us to seek that understanding, to unearth that treasure.
That concept you're sharing, it really puts the emphasis on our effort, our engagement, driven by that initial spark of love or affinity. It's quite profound.
It really is. It sets the stage for everything else. If the goal is to understand, the next question is obviously how. How do we bridge that gap?
Exactly. How do we, as finite beings, access that infinite knowledge, that status-changing understanding?
And this is where Dr. Sahib brings in the concept of Laylat-ul-Qadr, the night of power. But he goes much deeper than the common understanding.
Yeah, most people just focus on the 27th night of Ramadan, maybe looking for blessings.
Yeah.
But Dr. Sahib connects it to something very specific, the Sianuta.
The black dot, exactly. And he clarifies the source of this particular teaching.
Right. He attributes this understanding, this specific interpretation, to Qalandar Baba Ulia,
who was, importantly, the spiritual guide, the murshid, of Dr. Sahib's own murshid, Khwaja Shamsuddin Azeemi. So there's a lineage of this knowledge.
That context is crucial. It shows this isn't just a personal interpretation, but part of a deeper spiritual science passed down. So what is the black dot, according to this teaching?
Dr. Sahib states very clearly that the black dot is zamaniyat, temporality, time itself.
Time, not space.
Time. And he says it's the absolute basis, the foundation upon which makaniyat or spatiality is built.
Okay, hang on. So Time has to exist before space can even manifest. Is that the idea?
That seems to be exactly it. Think of it like the canvas before the painting. Time is the canvas. Space is painted onto it.
Wow. Okay, so if the black dot is the essence of time, how does that relate to God's will, the divine errata?
It relates directly to the moment of divine will. Dr. Sahib breaks down that will into 5 components. Let's see if I remember them all. There's what to do, how to do it, how much of it to do, what not to do. And the 5th, absolutely critical one, when to do it.
The when, the timing.
Exactly. The specific instant. And the Arabic word Dr. Sahib uses for that precise moment, that when, is jab.
Jab. So that specific point in, well, not even time as we know it, but that primordial moment of division.
Yeah.
That's the black dot before the command Kubi was even given.
Yes, precisely, as you pointed out. The jab is the black dot. It's the singularity of temporality where the decision crystallizes.
Okay. So what does it mean then when we talk about the nuzul, the descent of the black dot during Laylat-ul-Qadr?
The descent means that the seeker in that heightened state begins to perceive or understand that primordial, eternal moment of Allah's will. They touch upon the jag itself, the specific instant the decision was made before creation unfolded.
That's mind-bending. To perceive a moment before be, what kind of sensory capacity would that even require?
Well, that brings us directly to the next piece, the science of the senses, the Hawasi Kamsa.
Right. Dr. Sahib links perceiving the black dot to a specific threshold, our senses needing to iterate at 70,000 times their normal waking speed.
Yes, and this forces a radical reevaluation of what we mean by the 5 senses.
How so? We all learn about sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell. 5.
Dr. Sahib argues that's a fundamental misunderstanding. We're counting them by number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But he says we should be thinking about 5 distinct tiers or speeds of sensory operation.
5 speeds, not 5 types.
Exactly. He critiques the common view, pointing out that we tend to lump everything beyond the basic 5 into this vague category of the 6th sense. But according to the teachings he references, specifically from Qalandar Baba Aulia in the book Low Kalam, there are actually 11,500 senses, not just 5 or 6.
11,500, that's staggering. Where does that number even come from?
Well, Qalandar Baba Aulia apparently identified them. Dr. Sahib even mentions that Matika, the power of articulation or speech, was identified as a distinct sense, a 6th one, in that work. But the total count reaches 11,500.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. But focusing on Dr. Sahib's point about the 5 tiers or speeds, could you walk us through those? Using our normal day senses as the baseline, like unit 1.
Certainly. Let's lay them out. Tier 1, day senses. Our normal waking consciousness, let's call that speed 1.
Okay, speed 1, standard operating procedure.
Tier 2, dream senses or nocturnal senses. These operate, according to Dr. Sahib, at 70 times the speed of day senses. Speed 70.
70 times faster in a dream. That explains why dreams can feel so expansive or compressed time-wise.
It does provide a framework for that, yes. Then, Tier 3, Laylat-ul-Qadr senses. This is the big jump.
The 70,000 mark.
Exactly. 70,000 times the speed of day senses. Speed 70,000. This is the threshold required to perceive the black dot, the jab.
Okay. What comes after that? Are there even higher speeds?
Oh, yes. Tier 4, death senses. The sense is active at the point of physical death. Dr. Sahib calculates this speed as 365,000 times the day senses. Speed 365,000.
365,000. Where does that number come from? It seems very specific.
It comes from the Qur'an. Dr. Sahib references verses where Allah's day is equated to human time. Specifically, the verse stating Allah's day is like 1,000 human years.
Ah, okay. So 1,000 years times 365 days in a year gives you 365,000.
Precisely. That's the calculation he uses to derive the speed multiplier for the death senses.
That's quite a leap of interpretation, connecting a description of divine time to sensory speed. But it's mathematically consistent within his framework. What's Tier 5?
Tier 5, Qiyamah senses, or the senses of the soul, active during the resurrection or day of judgment. Here, he uses another Quranic verse, where Allah's day is equated to 10,000 human years.
So following the same logic, 10,000 years times 365 days, that would be 3,650,000 times the speed of our day senses.
Exactly. Speed 3,650,000, an immense acceleration of perception.
Is that the highest level?
There's actually one more level he derives, related to the Quranic verse mentioning Allah's day being like 50,000 human years. Multiplying 50,000 by 365 gives you 18,250,000 times the base speed. He refers to this as the highest informational level.
18 million. It's almost impossible to conceptualize what perception at that speed would be like.
It truly stretches the imagination, but the framework is built step by step from Quranic references interpreted through this lens of sensory speeds.
Okay, let's go back to that crucial 70,000 number for Laylat-ul-Qadr. How did Dr. Sahib derive that specific ratio? You mentioned the verse, Khairun min alfi shahr.
Yes, better than 1,000 months. Or, as Dr. Sahib sometimes translates shahr, not just as month, but as thing or renown, implying 1,000 significant events or periods.
Okay, 1,000 months. How does that become 70,000?
Well, Dr. Sahib explained that his murshid, Khawaja Shamsuddin Azeemi, provided the initial breakdown. He took the 1,000 months, calculated the approximate number of days and nights in that period. 1,000 months is roughly 30,000 days. If you consider days and nights separately, that gets you towards 60,000 distinct periods.
Right, day, night, day, night.
Yeah.
Doubling the number. So 1,000 months by 30 days, month by 2, day, night, equals 60,000. Still not 70,000.
Correct. Dr. Sahib apparently refined this calculation. He included not just day and night, but also the transitional periods morning and evening as distinct segments within each 24-hour cycle.
So adding those extra phases within the day-night cycle pushes the total number of significant moments or periods within those 1,000 months up closer to 70,000.
That seems to be the reasoning presented. It aligns the mathematical interpretation of 1,000 months with the experiential threshold needed for perceiving the black dot. It connects the scriptural verse to the required sensory speed.
It's an intricate piece of spiritual mathematics. So if achieving these higher sensory speeds, especially the 70,000 mark, is key to perceiving deeper realities, what kind of practice does Dr. Sahib recommend? It can't just happen automatically.
No, definitely not. He stresses the importance of the right kind of practice, and he makes a critical distinction between Psalm and Rosa.
We usually translate both as fasting. What's the difference here?
Rosa is often understood simply as abstaining from food and drink, the physical act. But Psalm, Dr. Sahib emphasizes, implies silence, specifically closing the mouth and, crucially, turning inward.
Andar, he calls it, going inside.
Exactly. True Psalm is about that internal reflection, that focus within, which is necessary to gain control over these sensory speeds. Just skipping meals isn't enough. It's the internal discipline cultivated through reflective silence that allows one to manage and potentially accelerate sensory input.
So the practice is aimed squarely at mind control, at managing the influx of information that comes with higher sensory speeds.
Precisely. Because if your senses suddenly started operating 70,000 times faster without any preparation, the experience would likely be overwhelming, chaotic.
Makes sense. You need the mental infrastructure to handle the bandwidth increase.
You could put it that way, yes. And this need for internal development, for expanding our capacity, ties into another core concept Dr. Sahib discusses: why humanity was made Khalifa.
Vice Pageant,
Yeah.
God's representative on earth.
Yes. Dr. Sahib emphasizes that Allah made us Khalifa specifically so we could understand this vast, complex system, the system of creation, of different sensory levels of divine will. But to do that, we need to expand our minds, our Zain. Zan ko bara karna, as he puts it, make the mind bigger.
And how do we do that?
Yeah.
What's the practical instruction?
He points to the most repeated instruction in the Quran, apparently appearing 121 times. Aqim as-salat wa zakat.
Establish the connection salat, usually translated as prayer, and develop the self-zakat, often translated as charity, but having a deeper meaning of purification and growth.
Exactly. He focuses on that self-development aspect of zakat, establishing the connection, salat, and then actively working on purifying and expanding the self, zakat. This is the core method for making the mind bigger.
And that internal work that going on during Psalm connects to our memory, doesn't it? Our hafiza.
Yes, very directly. Dr. Sahib explains that when a person is silent, reflective, turned inward, they are engaging their hafiza, their personal memory faculty. But he defines hafiza in a very specific way. It's not just our personal recall, it's our individual link, our access point to Allah's memory.
Allah's memory. You mean the Lawh Mahfuz, the preserved tablet.
Precisely. He describes our personal hafiza as the interface with the universal Lawh Mahfuz.
Okay, this is important. So the Lawh Mahfuz isn't our fixed destiny. It's something else.
According to this explanation, no, it's not our fixed personal record. Instead, Dr. Sahib describes it as the database of all possibilities, everything that could happen.
All possibility.
Right.
How is that structured?
He explains it holds every potential movement, every choice across 6 directions and 360 different angles. Every single path you could take at any given moment is already recorded there as a potentiality.
Infinite possibilities, essentially, stored in this preserved tablet. So where does our personal story, our destiny, come from?
It comes from our choices. Our conscious actions, driven by our free will, select one path out of those infinite possibilities held in Lohi Mahfuz. That chosen path, the sequence of choices we actually make, becomes solidified. It becomes our fixed personal record. And Dr. Sahib calls that record the Kitab al-Marqum.
Kitab al-Marqum, the inscribed book. So Lohi Mahfuz is the library of all possible books, and Kitab al-Marqum is the specific book we write for ourselves through our choices.
That's an excellent analogy, yes. The whole game, as Dr. Sahib puts it, is about consciously arranging our own Kitab al-Marqum. We are the authors of our inscribed record, selecting from the divine library of potentials.
And this personal record, the Kitab al-Marqum, has consequences. It determines our trajectory.
Absolutely. He links it directly to the Quranic concepts of Ilian and Sijin.
Ilian being the highest, most expansive levels, and Sijin representing stagnation, limitation, being trapped.
Exactly. Whether we reach Ilian or remain stuck in Sijin depends entirely on how we arrange our Kitab al-Marqum through our choices, which are informed by our understanding and our sensory control. Our memory, in this sense, is our recorded destiny.
Wow. The responsibility is squarely on us then. But if we're constantly choosing from possibilities, we need to be able to discern which information to act on. How do we know what's a genuine potential leading to Ilian versus something else?
That is the absolute crux of the matter. And Dr. Sahib starts with a rather, sobering assessment of our current state.
What does he say about the information, the itlaat that comes to us?
He states that the information broadcast, essentially from Lohi Mahfuz, these potentials, these guidances, we barely perceive them. Maybe we accept 1 in 1,000 signals coming through.
Only 1 in 1,000, that's not much.
And it gets worse. He says that even the one piece we do accept, we often immediately proceed to break, twist, and mutilate it. He uses the strong Arabic word masak.
Masak, to distort, deform. Can you give an example of that?
The example he gives is quite potent. The instruction in the Qur'an is to understand the Qur'an, to ponder its meanings, to extract the knowledge. That's the information from Lohi Mahfuz related to our purpose. But what do many people do? They masak it. They twist it into merely reading the Arabic text for reward, sawab, without engaging with the understanding, which was the original point.
I see. So we take a profound instruction and reduce it to a ritualistic action, missing the essence entirely.
Exactly. That's the kind of distortion he's talking about. And to combat this, to help us actually perceive and correctly interpret the information we receive, Dr. Sahib provides a very practical tool.
Which is?
He breaks down all incoming thoughts, all itlaat, into 4 distinct sources. He says it's vital for us, for you listening, to learn to categorize your own thoughts based on their origin.
Okay, this sounds incredibly useful. What are the 4 sources? Let's break them down clearly, maybe with examples so people can start applying this.
Great idea. Source number 1, information from Allah. This comes via the Lohi Mahfuz connection. And critically, Dr. Sahib specifies this information relates strictly to the purpose of life.
Okay, purpose of life. Like what? Give me an example.
An example would be that inner knowing, that clear realization that you must dedicate time to understanding spiritual texts, or that you need to seek out knowledge about your creator. It's directly related to why we're here.
Got it. Purpose-driven thoughts. What's source number 2?
Source number 2, information from the inner self, or the nafs. This category relates to our needs and urges, the takas. These are usually biological or psychological imperatives.
Like feeling hungry or thirsty.
Or tired.
Exactly. Hunger, thirst, fatigue, the need for sleep, maybe even the need for mental rest after intense concentration. These are signals from your own system about its immediate requirements.
Okay, clear distinction. Needs versus purpose. What's the 3rd source? Source number 3, information from the environment, the mahol. This source generates desires, or wahishat. These are typically reactive thoughts prompted by our surroundings.
Reactive. How so?
For example, you're walking down the street, you see someone eating delicious-looking golgape, and suddenly you think, ooh, I want some golgape. That thought didn't come from Allah, purpose, or your nafs need unless you were genuinely starving. It came from the environmental stimulus.
Or feeling hot in a room and thinking, I wish there was a fan.
Precisely. That desire for a fan is triggered by the environmental condition of heat. It's a kwahish.
Okay, that makes sense. Purpose, need, desire was the fourth and final source.
Source number 4, information from shaitan or negativity. This source generates thoughts that are inherently destructive, negative, or based on misinterpretation and malice.
Can you give an example here?
Yeah.
This one feels important to identify correctly.
A classic example Dr. Sahib might use. You're in a room, and across the way, a friend suddenly bursts out laughing while looking in your general direction. A thought immediately pops into your head. They're laughing at me. They're mocking me. That accusatory negative interpretation, which assumes the worst without any evidence that's likely from shaitan, the laughter could have been about anything.
Right. It's the negative spin, the assumption of ill intent. That's the hallmark of the fourth source.
Yes. It sows discord, suspicion, and negativity.
Okay, so we have these 4 categories. Allah, purpose, nafs, needs, mahol, desires, shaitan, negativity. Identifying them is one thing, but how do we use this?
Well, just knowing the categories isn't enough, as you said. The crucial next step is developing the ability to correctly categorize thoughts as they arise in real time. And that ability, Dr. Sahib says, is called sifat imtiaz.
Sifat imtiaz, the quality of distinction or discernment.
Exactly. He states this quality is an absolute necessity. It's the prerequisite for success in consciously arranging your kitab al-markum and ultimately for spiritual progress. Without discernment, you're just acting randomly on unfiltered input.
And this quality, sifat imtiaz, Dr. Sahib, connects it to something profound in the Qur'an, doesn't he? He links it to the habla warid.
Yes, he does. The jugular vein. This is quite a radical interpretation.
The famous verse, Nanu akrabu ilayhi min habli warid. We are nearer to him than the jugular vein. How does he connect this to discernment?
His interpretation, as presented, suggests the meaning isn't just about physical proximity. He proposes it means, I, Allah, am close to those who possess sifat imtiaz.
Wow. So proximity to God isn't just a given. It's conditional upon having this quality of distinction. Closeness is a function of discernment.
That's the implication of his interpretation. If you can discern the source of your thoughts, if you can distinguish between purpose, need, desire, and negativity, then you are considered close in a functional spiritual sense.
That completely reframes the verse. It makes closeness an active state achieved through mental discipline, rather than just a statement of omnipresence.
It does, and it highlights the function of sifat imtiaz. What does this quality allow you to do?
Well, if you can distinguish, you can choose better.
Exactly. It allows you to look at 2 options, 2 thoughts, 2 potential paths, and choose the better one, the one more aligned with purpose, perhaps. And then, faced with 2 better options, you can use discernment again to choose the best among them. This continuous process of choosing the better than the best naturally guides the seeker towards the ultimate best, which is Allah.
It's a process of refinement through choice, powered by discernment.
Precisely. And this brings us to the final point Dr. Sahib touched upon, concerning results and the nature of reality itself, specifically relating to materialism versus light.
Right. This connects back to how things manifest. He talked about people focusing too much on the physical outcomes.
Yes. He observed that people, especially when seeking things like healing, tend to focus only on the material result, the madiyat. They want the physical symptom gone, but they often ignore the underlying reality, the rashniyan, the lights that actually create those physical manifestations.
Lights? What does he mean by lights here? It doesn't just mean visible light, does it?
No, he gives a dual definition, which is key. In physical science, he says, light generally refers to waves or energy, both visible and invisible parts of the electromagnetic spectrum.
Okay, standard physics.
But in spirituality, he defines light, Rashni, as meaning concepts or tasawwurat.
Concepts, like ideas, beliefs, mental frameworks.
Exactly. The underlying idea, the blueprint, the concept in the mind. That's the spiritual light.
So how do these 2 definitions connect to physical manifestation?
His conclusion is that all physical manifestations, mazahir, are based on these lights, whether you think of them as energy waves or as mental concepts. The concept precedes and dictates the manifestation.
So if you want to change the physical result, you can't just tinker with the result itself.
Not effectively or not fundamentally. The critical spiritual work, he argues, is to focus on the tasawwurat, the concepts. If the physical manifestation, the mazahir, is wrong or undesirable, you need to trace it back to the underlying concept or light and correct that.
Fix the blueprint, not just repaint the flawed building.
An excellent way to put it. Correct the concept, and the manifestation will follow accordingly. This is essential spiritual work, moving beyond the surface level of mere physical effects.
We've really covered a vast landscape here, from the absolute purpose of creation as understanding God, the hidden treasure,
Through the mechanics of Laylat-ul-Qadr, the black dot as the origin of time, the incredible speeds of the senses derived from Quranic verses.
to the crucial role of memory, the Lohi Mahfuz as potentiality, and our Kitab al-Marquim as the record we write through choice.
Then the practical skill of discerning the four sources of thought using inconveience, which itself is the key to divine proximity.
And finally, understanding manifestation as rooted in concepts, in lights, not just physical matter. It's a complete framework, really.
Yes, as you pointed out earlier, it's a very cohesive system.
It truly is. And if we were to synthesize this for the listener, to perhaps leave them with one really provocative thought to mull over, what would it be?
For me, it keeps coming back to those sensory speeds, especially the highest ones.
The Qiyamah senses, operating at over 3.6 million times our normal speed.
Exactly. Dr. Saeed's teaching implies that Qiyamah, the Day of Judgment, isn't just some future cataclysmic event happening to the world. It's also, perhaps primarily, a state of being, a state defined by the soul's senses, accelerating to that almost unimaginable speed.
So understanding this changes how we view preparation for the end times, doesn't it?
Completely. It suggests preparation isn't just about performing rituals or waiting for external signs. It's about actively training our minds, expanding our zen, cultivating sifa imtiaz right now.
So we can handle the acceleration, so we're not overwhelmed when reality itself speeds up to that degree. Precisely. It makes spiritual development an immediate practical necessity for navigating not just this life, but the transition beyond it. It reframes Qiyamah as a shift in consciousness that we need to be ready for internally.
That is indeed a very provocative and, I think, empowering thought to end on. It puts the power and the responsibility firmly back in the hands of the seeker.
Absolutely. It emphasizes that inner work we discussed. Well, that brings us towards the end of this deep dive. Thank you very much to all the listeners for giving your time. We truly hope this discussion will prove beneficial for you. If you found this valuable, kindly consider forwarding this video to your friends, especially those who keep asking about spirituality and perhaps silsila Azeemi. Your forwarding actually helps YouTube automatically reach more people who might be interested in this video. And of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Lots of prayers for you too. Allah Hafiz to all.